In the heart of Southeast Asia, nestled between northern China and southern Thailand, Burma has remained one of the most totalitarian dictatorships in the world for 50 years. 3 years ago, the ruling military junta finally stepped down from power. Aung San Suu Kyi, Nobel Prize winner and the regime's main opponent, was subsequently released from prison. Since then, an entire people has dreamed of freedom, and the country has opened its doors to tourists. But under a veneer of democracy still in its infancy, the military remains in charge, sharing the profits with the ruby lords of the planet's most beautiful deposits of gems.
I'm trying a bit mannerist, I'm trying.
In the jungle, a rebel army is fighting single-handedly to eradicate the second largest production zone in the world. The corrupt Burmese army lets the traffickers who flood the world with heroin prosper. Burma still is not governed by the rule of law. In the cities, an extremist Buddhist monk spreads his hate against Muslims who are massacred with complete impunity. Although Burma is no longer excluded from the international community, this clandestine journey will reveal the troubles that still torment the land of the 1,000 Buddhist temples. Our journey into forbidden Burma begins in the north of the country, in Mogok. It is in this city, perched at an altitude of 1,000 meters, that the largest ruby deposits in the world can be found. Barely 2 years ago, it was still impossible for tourists to go there. At the entrance to this El Dorado, one must pass a checkpoint armed with special permission from the authorities. Western journalists aren't allowed access, so we enter as tourists. Mogok is a city that wears its nickname of Ruby Valley well. A geological miracle spanning over 40 million years took place in the depths of the mountains, transforming its subsoil into a treasure chest. For centuries, man has been tirelessly mining this precious stone. In this far west, even children sift through the mud flows to help feed their families. In the open mines, holes are blasted with dynamite. Others become miners on behalf of rich businessmen. Just a handful of people share the spoils of the region's riches. In this ruby quest, the big owners have made discretion a religion. For the first time, one of them has agreed to be filmed by foreign cameras. At 39 years old, Su is already a multi-millionaire. In Mogok, the ruby magnates are highly respected.
You're very famous here.
Yeah.
Everybody know you.
Yeah.
Su's days start in his discreet town centre office where small-time sellers queue up to sell him their most beautiful stones. This Chinese man is hoping to blow him away with a large cut stone. The Ruby King is one of the few intermediaries who is able to sell on to foreign countries.
I 25,000 ကျွန်တော်မြင်တယ်လို့ပြောတာ 25,000 ဒီက offer က 30,000 one crack after one crack ခုဒီကကျဒီအမြုပ်တွေလေဒီကောင် stay အများကြီးဒီမှာအမုံတွေလေးတွေမှာလေဟုတ်တယ်ဗျအဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မို့သူက မတန်တော့လေဈေးရော်တော့
Today, this man will leave empty-handed, just like all the other sellers.
Did you?
Why? သူကအကြိုက်မတွေ့လို့တော့ကြောက်တဲ့မိန်းကလေးအတူတူပဲ feeling လာမှလုပ်လို့ရ feeling လာမှလုပ်လို့ရ feeling လိုက်ဘာမှလုပ်လို့မရဘူးကဲ ဟုတ်မလား
In reality, Sue doesn't need to act as an intermediary to grow richer. He owns 2 mines outside of the city. Since his youth, he has been exploring the subsoils of Mogok, given his parents used to drill holes in the region.
14နှစ်မှာ1988ကကျွန်တော်တို့ဟိုဟာတွေပေါ့ကျောင်းလေးပိတ်သွားတဲ့အချိန်မှာကျောင်းလေးပိတ်သွားတော့ကျတော့မထူးဆိုအဲ့မှာတွင်းအဖေမေလောက်တဲ့ဒီ generation မိုင်းကိုကျွန်တော်ဝင်ပြီးတော့အဲ့ကလေးစပြီးတော့တွင်းလေးကိုလိုက်ဆင်တာပေါ့အရင်ကတည်းကစိတ်ဝင်စားတာပါတွင်းမလောက်ခင်တည်းကအဖေတွင်းတွေကိုရှောက်ကြည့်တယ်လိုက်တယ်အဖေမေနောက်လိုက်တယ်ရောင်းဝယ်တယ်တွားရင်လည်းလိုက်တယ်ပေါ့
In the 1990s, the military junta decided to privatize the mines. The best ruby deposits were bought up by a handful of businessmen who knew how to ingratiate themselves with those in power. Suu is part of this privileged class.
Check every day? Yeah, every day I count my ruby mine.
The stage that this local lord is most interested in is the sorting stage. A dozen or so highly focused workers search for precious stones amongst the gravel. In this cup is the day's harvest. Red rubies and a few blue sapphires. Nothing to dazzle Sue.
This ruby quality no have. No quality. Rough ruby.
The good quality is very rare.
မရှားပါဘူးသူ့နေရာမရောက်သေးဘူး
မရောက်သေးဘူးပြောမလိုက်သေး
သူအဲ့ကြောက်ရှိတဲ့ quality နေရာကျွန်တော်တို့ကရောက်ပြီဆိုစီးလိုက်တော့ရှော့ထွက်လာမှာပဲ
ဒါလေးကိုရဖို့ဘယ်နှစ်တန်လောက်မြေသာထွက်ရလဲ
ဒါမှမဟုတ် morning 9မှာတမနက်ခင်းတိုင်းတန်50ကိုတန်50လောက်စီးရတယ် I found a best ruby every day one day sometime day I found I fortunate I believe
But you are lucky yet because you are very rich.
yeah I'm trying a bit man rich I'm trying
In order to mine rubies in Burma, one has to share with the generals who are still running the country. Suu bought this mine by going into partnership with a military conglomerate called U Pai, a company that allows army apparatchiks to help themselves to the wealth of the Burmese subsoil.
ကျွန်တော်ချန်ဝယ်ချန်နေအကုန်လုံးကျွန်တော်ကဝယ်လိုက်တာပြီ
ဒီပတ်စံနဲ့ကိုဝယ်
ကိုကတကူဝယ်တာဝယ်ပြီးတော့ဥပိုင်လောက်လိုက်တယ်ကျောက်ဝတ်တင်ရောက်ပြီးတော့28%တော့ဆက်တယ်ကျွန်တော်72ရတယ်
This tax doesn't prevent Suu from making a fortune. In his beautiful city centre house, we find the Ruby King in his living room. A room that is covered in teakwood, an interior sign of wealth. On its walls, the local handcrafted must-have animals from the jungle adorned with a multitude of semi-precious shards.
Please take a seat
This is a new home here. This is a new home.
Yes new home my started one home in the town
And you have many home.
yeah yes when I have 1 2 3 4 5 6 so,
house
6 house I have a 6 house
in
in Mogok
Mogok and
monthly and my parents have 1 2 3
three house in
3 years
and one regular
Rangoon I buy Siasan Road and I buy a 5 piece
5 houses
5 house 5 house connection 5 house
In Mogok, rubies don't get deposited into a bank. Su keeps his loot on the first floor. 2 trays full of rubies, which account for this week's production. The most beautiful stones are stored in oil to better protect them.
How much for the whole plate?
The whole place then $1 lakh.
$1 lakh.
How many do you think it will be sell in Paris?
After they have been cut and polished, these stones will then be resold for 20 to 30 times more money in Europe. This small tray would be worth approximately 2 million euros in Paris. The price of 1 ruby alone can go through the roof if it possesses an exceptional purity, as was the case with this jewel that he sold for a small fortune.
For $5 million nearly $5 million I sold I think 7-8 years.
Su's most beautiful rubies currently come from a new mine. 2 years ago, he found a very promising deposit, of which he is the sole owner. The rubies are embedded in marble that has to be searched for deep underground. Su leaves us in the hands of the site's manager. The mine's entrance is located further down, underneath these sheets of corrugated iron.
Dynamite လားလေဟိုက
ဟုတ်တယ်ဒီတရားလေအခုair gun နဲ့ gum air gun နဲ့ဖောက်ပြီးတော့ဒီကောင်ကိုထည့်ဟုတ်ပြောဒီ air gun နဲ့ဖောက်ပြီးတော့လေ air gun တော့2ပေခွဲတော့2ပေတော့ဖောက်လို့လောထည့်လိုက်တယ်ထည့်ပြီးဆိုမှဟိုနောက်ပိုင်းအကုန်လုံးဖောက်ပြီးဆိုမှခွဲပြီးဆိုရင်ဒါအကုန် join ပြီးတော့ခွဲလိုက်တယ်ပေါ်ကနေပြီး
A workman has agreed to equip himself with a lightweight camera to show us the conditions that they work in. He begins his almost vertical descent clinging on to a single piece of rope. Some slippery logs serve as ladders. But halfway down, the rope is too short. He reaches the first landing by clinging onto a water pipe. A second gallery allows him to access deep down within this vein that was dug in just under 4 months. No shoring has been put in to support the walls and avert the risk of collapse. Goods lifts overhang a sheer drop. We finally reach the bottom of the mine, 100 meters underground. Water is the main hazard to this structure. When it seeps into the mine, it weakens it, increasing the risk of it collapsing on top of the workers. Water is pumped out continuously, but when the monsoon is at its heaviest, work must stop during several months. Amongst the deafening noise of the pneumatic drills, the workers bore holes into the marble. They guide the drill bit with their hands or the soles of their flip-flops to make sure that it doesn't slip. Another worker packs in the dynamite for the next explosion. With no protection at all, these miners smash open the rocks 12 hours per day, their lungs filling up with marble dust. The rocks are loaded by hand before being brought up to the surface using this zip wire. As in every mine, the workers work in rotation night and day, and they live on site in this metal hangar.
မနေ့ကင်းကိုအလုပ်လုပ်ပြီးလို့ရှိရင်သူကနေတစ်ပိုင်းအိတ်တယ်အဲ့နေတစ်ပိုင်းအိတ်ပြီးလို့ရှိရင်ညနေ6နာရီထိုးတာနဲ့သူတွင်းပြန်ဆင်းရညနေ6နာရီရနေပြီးတော့မနေ့6နာရီထိအောင်သူတွင်းပြန်ဆင်းရမယ်သူထမင်းစားပြီးဆင်းတယ်ညအစားပြီးမုံချပေးတယ်အောက်မှာမုံပေးတယ်မနေ့6နာရီပြန်တက်မှာ
Hard labour is compensated with good wages. The mine's 150 workers earn around 3 times the average salary in Burma.
အဲ့ဒါကျွန်တော်တို့ဒီတွင်းချက်တွေမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့2သိန်းနဲ့4တောင်းပေါ့အနည်းဆုံးကသူတို့နောက်လိုက်တွေမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်တော့2သိန်းပေါ့ခုဒီ9လပိုင်းမှာ2သိန်းစပေးတယ်အကုန်လုံးပြည့်စုံတယ်ပြည့်2သိန်းဟုတ်တယ်ဟုတ်တယ်ကောင်အားလုံးလုပ်ပေးတယ်
The miners also get productivity bonuses. In the past 2 years, several workers have been injured, but not a single one of them has died in this new mine. The Ruby Kings only leave a few drops for the inhabitants. The valley's population live in the hope of one day finding the rare pearl that will in turn make them their fortune. A vain hope when you don't have the right yourself to dig a hole in the ground. The locals have to make do with the rubies left by the most generous developers. At the exit to this mine, villagers load up on stones that are transported a little further away, to the heart of one of the city's poorest areas. This vast field of stones invades their neighbourhood more and more each day. Hundreds of families break up the rubble piece by piece to unearth tiny rubies that have passed through the mesh of the net. A minuscule stone that's hardly worth anything.
Mogok bà mua những càng con đấy biểu Burma là càng con đấy
This saying is now well known beyond the Burmese borders. For several generations, those from Bangladesh, India and Nepal have been attracted here by ruby fever. They work in groups in this marble rubbish dump. Each lorry load has its team, and they share the spoils of each ruby. The buyers are never very far away, like these well-dressed women. They are on the lookout to find the best stones. They will in turn try to sell these stones on that same day at the town's ruby market. Under these parasols, a multitude of dealers trade uncut or cut stones. A detailed inspection is carried out under a lamp to check the stone's sparkle and purity. Then it's on to hard bargaining and a dose of bluffing. These brokers have to pay a tax of 20%, so the most beautiful rubies are not traded here. The majority of them will be directly smuggled abroad to be sold. But in Burma, it is not this trafficking that worries the international community the most. "300 kilometers north of Mogok, we are going to pass into territory that all foreigners are forbidden to enter. Burma's Golden Triangle, the second largest production zone in the world behind Afghanistan. In this jungle, on the edge of the border with China, we are going to meet rebel soldiers who fight against the Burmese army. On the main road that leads to China, we will meet with a smuggler who is going to sneak us into this region that has been sealed up by the militia. No television team has ever filmed this covert war before. Our secret rendezvous must take place in the middle of the night, on the side of this road.
It's okay? Yes, yes.
A parked 4x4 with all of its lights switched off is waiting for us. It speeds over to us and our smugglers hurry us up to change vehicles.
Go quickly, we gotta take... Vas-y, vite, Oh.
We are going to go deep into the jungle not to be spotted. A member of the rebel army's political office is going to act as our guide. He is somewhat tense.
Last 15 minutes, the Burmese army came in the place that we said. They came with a big truck, maybe around like the 60 like this. Even though they are around the way, a foreigner is allowed, but in the village or in the forest, you are not allowed. You are banned. So if they know you are here, we won't be able to continue our trip. That is for us is we are part of TNLA. So if they know who we are, we can be in jail for many years.
The next day, we will discover the Burmese Golden Triangle, the world's accursed heroin garden. In this international no man's land, it is not the state that fights against the growth of poppy fields, but instead a clandestine army of several thousand men, all from the local ethnic group, the Palong. Hidden in the mountains, in one of their base camps, 200 Palong rebels are today assembled to listen to their second-in-command as he makes his inspection round. Like the majority of the ethnic groups in the region, the Palong fight against the Burmese army in order to achieve greater autonomy for their people. This morning, the rebels have received new arms supplied by neighbouring ethnic groups and often imported from China. Several mortars, grenades and brand new assault rifles for this fledgling army that went to war 2 years ago. The majority of these men had never held a rifle in their life before they signed up. Adolescents, farmers and even former drug addicts are amongst these rookie soldiers. Because the Palong rebels' main enemy is an insidious evil that gnaws away at the population little by little. Today, 90% of Paolong men are hooked on it or on its derivative. In an attempt to eradicate this scourge, the rebels fight against drug trafficking. 2 years ago, they re-seized control of the village. Since then, the drug has been banned, although incurable addicts still use it behind closed doors. Ta Law has spent 20 of his 58 years smoking his pipe. As is the case with Ike Tun, who is 29 years old and a farm worker on starvation wages. To save their declining population, the rebels have decided to tackle the problem at its roots. Every year in March, when the poppies are flowering, they burst into the fields to destroy the harvests. These are very dangerous operations, as they are threatened by an enemy that is just nearby. 2 hills away on this crest is a private militia of 500 mercenaries. These are the only images of their entrenched camp, shot illegally by an American humanitarian association. Officially, the Burmese government has put this militia in charge of ensuring the security of the villages in this remote jungle. But in reality, the militiamen protect the poppy farms. A permanent enemy that distresses the leader of this colony of field reapers. On the road, the militiamen could appear at any moment. Skirmishes are all too frequent. This time, the rebels won't need to fight. It's even their lucky day. At the edge of the village, they stop a man on a scooter who works for the militiamen. Inside his bag, balls of opium weighing over 3 kilos. The pulp isn't white but brown, as it oxidizes upon contact with air. This Chinese man is not a farmer. He works for the militias. His job is to collect money from the poppy farmers in the area. This tax can be paid in cash or in balls of that the militias then resell. He has already collected around 700 euros.
胡烟可两个个，那咱来可两个可相处好了，干的不是。
The opium will be destroyed and the money will be used to top up the rebel army's funds.
အဲ့ဒီလိုဘာလာလူစီစီလူတဲ့တမ်းလို့တဲ့ဘောတမ်းနေကောအဲ့ကတော့ခွေးရင်နောက်ပွင့်ရင်မူရစေဝါတယ်ကဲကရင်မူကဲဆောင်တော့မယ်ဒီအလိုလာတဲ့တမ်းမအဲ့တဲ့တမ်းတယ်လူစီစီစဘူးလူတဲ့တမ်းတယ်
The rebel colony carries on with its expedition in the direction of the poppy field. As with most of the farms in the region, it belongs to Chinese immigrants. Mogok, a highly motivated lieutenant, runs the operations with an iron hand. Despite his orders, a part of the field is spared. A few plants are still upright.
มันดีดาเอาเพี้ยนเอามุมาเดนีโอดาเอาเพี้ยนโดยดิก่อนสุกก็คือเขาเอามุมาเกดามูรับเวลาอยู่เอาแม่มาใบดาเลยก็คือเอาทู่เสียแทนเลจันก็คือกองแท้ของคนแม่ดิกลางเด็กน้อย
In reality, the rebels leave the farmers a few plants to be able to survive. Poppies are only harvested once per year, as one of the farm's workers demonstrates to us. An incision is made into the bulb of the plant, and a white sap oozes to the surface. This is pure. To get balls of, one simply needs to scrape off the sap. The reaping operation continues a bit further away. In this next farm, the landowner attempts to save her harvest. She hopes to gain clemency by offering cigarettes and bottles of beer. Her desperate attempt is useless. The elderly lady and her daughter do what they're told. A year's work ruined in the blink of an eye. Defeated, the elderly lady will not say a word to us, while her daughter reveals the unthinkable. Her mother is also growing opium to feed her children's drug addiction. These poor farmers are under the control of the militia who strip them of their assets. These mercenaries also protect the big-time Chinese traffickers who buy the and turn it into. Wong spent 4 years in the militia's ranks before he deserted, because instead of assuring his people's safety, he was forced to guard the poppy fields instead. 2 years ago, he repented and joined the rebels.
sai là sai we le we bên phía ama cái không cái tăng này Arab bây giờ ta liên su bây giờ là ngã bằng bây giờ là xịn rồi ai mà khám nhà yama tôm hộp bên phía ai mà chết mà vậy hộp bạc cả bàn gì ai đi ra mà Burma mùi ya rồi quên biết mà than mà ai mà.
So why does the government let the militias traffic drugs with complete impunity? Officially, the state is fighting against drug trafficking and lets this be known. Tons of opium, heroin or methamphetamines are incinerated on a regular basis in front of foreign cameras. It's a nice image, but a misleading one, because in reality, the Burmese army is an accomplice in drug trafficking.
Yam de cái phết pin có, bây giờจะphết pin mà sẽ chạm cái biểu lệ bây giờจะเตะพตากาดไปยิงphếtลงไปบ้านยันตากาจะเตะบุกคนอยู่ก็จู่ได้เชิดทันแม่ลงก็là có năng lên năng xa để em lúc bao giờ năng cứ san nàyก็จู่ได้ป่ะโอ้น้ำมูน่าจะphếtเท้าผงลงเหมือนนี่ด่ะลงมาphếtก็ลึกๆไกลหาไปเยอะขโมยปองบ่ายเด้อเดี๋ยวก็
In Burma, drug trafficking can sometimes be an excellent springboard from which one can launch a political career. This man, Kyo Myint, used to be the head of the militias up until 2010. Since then, he has become a deputy member of the political party in power. The Paolong rebels are on their own in the fight against the Golden Triangle's all-powerful traffickers. That evening, one of their officers is preparing to destroy the 3 kilos of opium that were confiscated from the Chinese militiamen.
yêu hộ mà những tốt rồi đôi ạ.
Mà như vậy thì mà anh mà phép đi sao giờ lu mua gì bữa ra gì bữa đi chỉ bao gì anh mới phép thì được cho cái cột này là có.
A few kilos of burnt in public. Last year, drug production in the Burmese Golden Triangle had increased yet again, reaching 700 tons according to the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. And today, fingers are pointed at Burma for even more reprehensible crimes. There are an increasing number of massacres in the country. On the 20th of March 2013, 800 kilometers away, a city in the center of the country was on fire. In Megtila, a banal dispute between a Muslim shopkeeper and a Buddhist customer quickly spiraled into a riot. Scores of people took part in a witch hunt against Muslims, and men and women and children were beaten to death. Monks took part in the lynching. Some victims were even burnt alive in full sight of the police who stood by and watched. The military finally intervened after 3 days of massacres. The toll? 40 people dead, 11 mosques destroyed, and the Muslim district reduced to ashes. One Buddhist monk is accused of being partly responsible for this killing frenzy. He teaches in one of the country's biggest monasteries in the town of Mandalay. Behind its walls, 1,000 monks learn the Buddha's precepts by heart. They gather together twice per day to pray. In July 2013, one of their preachers, nicknamed the Burmese Hitler, was exposed to the world. Time magazine revealed the face of Buddhist terror on its front cover. And we are going to meet this extremist monk, a man with an oversized ego, on a par with the many portraits in his glory. His bodyguard, a devotee from the very beginning, welcomes us, unashamedly reciting the thesis of his master. The tone is set. Now let's meet Wiratu, the extremist preacher of a Buddhist religion that has long been praised as a religion of peace. Back in 2003, this monk of apparent friendly demeanor was sentenced to 25 years in prison for inciting hatred against Muslims. Released in 2010 during a national amnesty, he founded 969, an extremist nationalist and Islamophobic movement. In the monastery's courtyard, these macabre photos sum up his political message. A collection of photos from all across Asia which show, according to him, Buddhists victimized by Muslims.
This is a little kid, yeah. It's a head. Muslim Islamic
However, Muslims only represent 4% of the population. They have been Burmese for thousands of years now. They are neither veiled nor extremists. There is nothing to distinguish them from the majority of Buddhists in the country. Officially, Wiratu condemned the massacres in Maketillah. But at lunchtime, between two mouthfuls of rice, he concedes that monks participated in them. Four years after his release from prison, Wiratu continues blowing on the embers of hatred. But when his people go on the rampage, it is never his fault. Today, the Muslim district of Maketillah is still in ruins, deserted by its inhabitants. Entrenched behind the fences of a camp on the edge of town, 12,000 refugees shelter under the watchful eye of the police. The subject is taboo for the authorities, so we film these images discreetly. In order to be able to meet Muslim people away from prying eyes, we have a meeting in this monastery that this pacifist monk transformed into a refuge during the killings. He took in 800 Muslims, but also 300 Buddhists, taking care to keep them well separated from each other. These women, saved by the monk, have all lost members of their families. One of them spent a whole night trying to flee from the hordes of Buddhists with her husband and her son. So as not to reveal her identity, she accepts to give us a hidden face interview. Only a few of the murderers were arrested. Fearing reprisals, this woman did not dare to report her husband's killers. 1.5 years later, Wiratu continues to preach his xenophobic sermons throughout the country. Sat in the customized car of one of his followers, he is preparing to return to the suburbs of Maiktila, just a short distance away from where the crimes took place. For security reasons, these bodyguards have forbidden us from getting into the car because this monk receives death threats on a regular basis. At the city's entrance, Wiratu is welcomed like a celebrity. Dozens of faithful prostrate themselves before this monk who has become the people's guru.
You are very famous everywhere you go. You are very famous everywhere you go.
Because he stands on the right side.
What is the right side?
That German is about your land.
What does it mean?
Good time, you go down the Yeti. Nanganaga Fiari by the tempter. Nanganaga Fiari by the tempter. Look when you are in the David Charlum Chow. Look when the Charlum Chow.
In spectacular style, without a hint of shame, he crosses through the rubble of the Muslim district that was destroyed by his followers. A few kilometers further on, he has come to unveil this temple. The welcome that awaits him is worthy of that of a minister on an official visit. The government monitors every move of this inflammatory clergyman. There are many uniformed police amongst the villagers, but also plainclothes policemen who are surprised by our presence. In order to film the ceremony, we pass ourselves off as Buddhist tourists. Wiratu takes up the position of Messiah and stages all of his public appearances. Sat on his flower-covered throne, he begins his speech, which will quickly go off track.
ဘယ်နဲ့တော့ခွေတီကိုလင်လို့တော့ခွေတီကဟစ်ကောင်မှမင်းဖျားရှိမကိုနဲ့အဲ့ဒီလိုပိတ်ပင်မှာလို့ရှိပါမလားရှိပါဘူးဗျာအေးရအောင်ကလာခွေတယ်ဆိုအောင်လို့ကလာရည်ပဲနော်ဒီရွာတို့လို့ဒီရွာတို့လို့ချမ်းမြေစေ
Wiratu is behind a proposed law to forbid Buddhist women from marrying Muslim men. The monk also urges his followers to boycott their businesses. The next day, back at the monastery, the monk will let his mask slip once and for all to reveal the face of an extreme nationalist Buddhist.
ဟိုငញ្ញမ်းရေးတရားတွေဟောကြားတဲ့ဗုဒ္ဓဘာသာတရားတွေထဲမှာဒီလိုမျိုးသူတို့ကိုခွေးလိုမျိုးမှတ်သွားပြီးတော့လေဟို message ပေါ့သူတို့ဘက်ကိုမကောင်းမှုများဖြစ်မသွားဘူးလားဗျာဟောကိုကခံရတာနဲ့ဆိုင်လို့ကိုပြောတာနဲပါတယ်ကိုပြောတာနဲခံရတာတဲ့ဆိုင်ကိုယ်တိုင်အနိုင်ကျင့်ခံရတဲ့ဆိုင်ကိုကပြန်ပြောပြတာနဲတော့နဲပြီနော်ဗျာမျိုးဆောင်ဥပဒေနဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးဖုံဖုံပါဝင်ပတ်သက်မှုရှိပါသလားတဲ့ဗျာဥဆောင်ဆရာတော့ဟိုမျိုးဆောင်ဥပဒေပေါ်ထွက်ဖို့ပေါ့နော်ထိတ်ဆုံးကမင်္ဂလေးတွေကလာတွေကပြစ်မှတ်ထားသိမ့်ပိုက်ပြီးတော့သူတို့ဘာသာတွေကိုအနိုင်ကျင့်သွင်းတာကြီးမခံမရနိုင်ဖြစ်တဲ့အခါကျတော့ဟိုပြည်သူတွေပေါက်ကွဲပြီးအဒီကရုံးတွေဖြစ်နေတော့အဲ့တော့ဒီဥပဒေသာရှိမယ်ဆိုရင်ပြည်သူလူထုရဲ့အထွေထွေမကျေနပ်ချက်ကြီးမပေါ်နိုင်တော့ဘူးဒါဆိုရင်ပေါက်ကွဲမှုဆိုတာမဖြစ်နိုင်
6 weeks after this interview, Mandalay, the country's second city, witnessed its first confrontations. 2 Muslims were killed. Little by little, Burma is being contaminated by Islamophobic hatred. Riddled with corruption and shaken by ethnic wars, the country of the ex-military junta has a long way to go before it can become a true democracy.